here's something that pissed some people off this week, and I want to get your opinion on it. So Friday, we found out that the U.S. will invest 10% in will take a 10% stake in Intel, the microchip maker. So, uh, according to sorry NPR, Trump said on Friday he had asked Intel CEO Luc Boutin for a 10% stake in the company, and that he agreed. Uh, Apparently, the CEO said he walked in wanting to keep his job. This is according to Trump, and he ended up giving us $10 billion for the United States. In a statement released on the company's website late Friday afternoon, Intel confirmed that the government would make an $8.9 billion investment in Intel common stock, reflecting the confidence the administration has in Intel to advance key national priorities and the critically important role the company plays in expanding the domestic semiconductor industry. Intel has stumbled in the race to feed soaring data center demand, which we talked about, for chips used to build AI models known as GPUs, graphics processing units. The leader in that field is Intel's Santa Clara neighbor, NVIDIA, now the world's biggest company with a market capitalization of over $4 trillion. Now, earlier in August, Trump announced that NVIDIA would pay the US 15% of its revenues of the H20 chips sold to China in exchange for being allowed to sell them there. Now, Riley, I have some thoughts on this, but I want to hear yours first.
I think you hit it right on the head. Of This is a conflict of interest, especially with our national uh, pressure to acquire and control the market of the semiconductors. I don't think that business really has any place in politics. The reason, the reason that we're in the situation that we're in and bowing down to the will of the companies is because we've allowed them to have that much power and have that much say and bow down to their bottom line over the betterment of the people. So,
Yeah. Well, so this one, it kind of seems like things are going the other way. Instead of the businesses putting all their money into politicians, this is the government putting its money into business. And I, for one, actually think this is kind of a good idea. Like, Jesse, I don't know. The critics are like, "Oh, this is communism," and I'm like, "Ooh, do the oil industry and the healthcare industry next."
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I am similar in mindset to Bernie Sanders here, who did come out in favor of this. Although he pointed out that his proposed amendment to the CHIPS Act that would have done this, had the U.S. directly invest in the chip manufacturers, that would have been in exchange for the huge investment we already made, and it would have required them to onshore jobs, to increase wage protections, and increase environmental protections. This Trump deal got none of that, right? But at least does have the United States earn money on investments that we've already made just without actually owning part of the company in exchange. But then I think we do have to talk about, I'm a socialist, right? So I'm not going to be opposed to the government owning, industries. However, what is the government, right? Like, because we had the remains of a democratic republic that was like inherently like suited to be, as Riley was saying, bought out by capitalists and really hard to have democratic controls. And then what few democratic controls we did have all just been wiped away, right? So if we actually want our government to be anything resembling a democracy or republic or whatever conservatives want word we want to use, if we want the people to be the ones ruling and in charge here, we have to have democratic oversight and accountability. We can't just have our executives just on a whim, just suddenly buying 10% of big industries without talking to anybody or any kind of a plebiscite about it. So, quick aside here, I think that we need to be openly saying we are going to arrest ICE agents. If Democrats get back into power, we are going to like have war crimes tribunals for what is going on right here, because Trump has cut all the strings of the cuts and of the checks and balances. COVID brain for a second there. Sorry. And they don't exist anymore. And if we come back into office and just pretend that they exist and continue playing by the rules the way they used to exist, then the next time somebody like Trump comes into office, which sadly I don't think this is the last time, they'll go right back to wreaking havoc, right? So we absolutely need to actually create a system of checks and balances that meaningfully constrains the government. And I think that has to include penalties for the people who have intentionally disregarded that. So, sorry to throw a little curveball in there, but I thought it was important to say.
Well, no, you know what? That curveball kind of takes us right to the last thing I wanted to cover on our international news this week.